Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_dadab. Well, we've got several things I want to talk about today, but I do want to start with this because I think it's funny and because I feel like it. I was just perusing, just seeing what all was out there, and I've seen a couple different things. I mentioned this before, too, where it's like, wait a minute, are we starting to doubt the Bears a little bit? Like, what's going on here? This doesn't seem right. One of them was a video that hasn't even come out yet. It's one of those, like, scheduled for later things. I was kind of upset. But it's all about, like, you know, not believing in the Bears, not believing in Caleb and all this stuff. It's like, what's going on there? And then I saw this. This is from ESPN Chicago. The title of this is PFF Disrespects Caleb Williams.
24th Caleb Williams.
I'm at a loss for the J.J. McCarthy and the Michael Penix being above Caleb Williams. If you want to say young player flashing hasn't proved it yet, then we agree that's Caleb Williams. And I think he will be a really good quarterback. But
okay. You can think that, but that has no bearing on maybe why PFF came to their conclusions.
When you're stacking him with the others, Michael Penix didn't do anything.
Correct. That's correct.
Last year. I mean, you look at J.J. McCarthy, he was injured.
Correct. Yeah. I don't know why you're not getting this, but yes, that's correct. Penix and J.J. McCarthy didn't do anything last year, which is probably why they're ahead of him. Continue.
Literally did nothing. See, that's
right.
The thing. With these lists, I don't mind if you don't have the guys that haven't played on this list.
Sure.
Right behind him.
You can't put J.J. McCarthy ahead of Caleb Williams.
You can, and they did.
Point. Right behind Caleb is Cam Ward, who also hasn't played yet. Like, for all intents and purposes, J.J. McCarthy is a rookie. I wouldn't have even included him in that list. So if you wanted to put Caleb Williams right behind Bo Nix, who played really well, Drake May, who played really well, I would say that that's fine. Bo Nix definitely played better than Caleb Williams. Drake May played about the same. To have certain guys that we didn't
May was a little better.
Even see play ahead of him, to me, is ridiculous.
Okay.
24th.
And I've gone over this before, but I get to make fun of the Bears, so I'm going to say it again as though you haven't heard me say this already. Let's assume there's just 3 categories. I want you to rank these categories. Good, I don't know, bad. How do you rank those 1, 2, and 3? Good, I don't know, and bad. Now, I'm sure the Bears media and everything would argue with the assessment that Caleb was bad. I don't care. That's not really the point right now. We can get into that. Saying you don't understand is embarrassing. Because if you don't understand, then that means that you would rank it good, then bad, then I don't know. That's not how I would rank quarterbacks coming into the season. I would put the guys that I'm not sure about ahead of the people that I saw that were bad. Now, to be clear, I don't know where I would rank Caleb if this was a question of who do you have the most faith in, Penix, Caleb, or McCarthy. Penix, I think, would probably be number 1 because I don't know that he's bad. I haven't seen him play poorly, and also I think he was actually quite phenomenal in the little bit of time that we got to see of him. But you got to understand, if you play and you play poorly, that's not to your benefit. Well, it's only been 1 year. I'm not making any kind of a definitive statement of what he will be. The whole list is a question of what do you think. It's all a guess. But the fact of the matter is having 1 bad year is worse than having 0 bad years, right? The odds that you're going to be a good player don't go up when you're 0 for 1 in your seasons as far as being good. If you've played 1 year and it's bad, I don't care how many excuses you have. For every player, you have sort of a ranking of how good you are. But let's just say it's good and bad. Every player that's good became good at some point or another. A large portion of those players were good year 1. Way larger than a lot of people would say, oh, no, nobody's good year 1. It's year 3. No, that's not how that works, no. We know for a fact Caleb is not in the year 1 club. He's not. He was not good in year 1. It wasn't just because of the pieces around him and the coaches and all that. Those are excuses. He, by himself, played poorly in year one. So he's either going to be one of those guys that becomes great despite a terrible start, or he's going to be like most guys who plays poorly in year one because they're just a bad player and that's how their career is. So if you still have more faith in Caleb than you do in J.J. McCarthy, for example, that's fine, but we have to assume that you had Caleb so unbelievably far ahead of J.J. McCarthy to begin with that even after seeing Caleb bomb for an entire first year, you still believe in the traits and tools of Caleb more so than you believe in the traits and tools of J.J. McCarthy. But it is funny because this happens all the time with especially Bears fans. Why would you put him ahead of them? We don't even know how good they are. Right, that's why they're ahead of them. That's literally the reason why. I don't know ranks ahead of bad. What PFF is telling you is that he was bad last year, and they're putting him on the, I guess you could say even below average tier. Because you probably just put the I don't knows right at the 0 mark, right at the not negative, not positive, right at 0. If a guy is below that, below I have 0 idea, then they would be below that, right? But I think genuinely, it's not that they don't understand that. It's because they are absolutely befuddled at the idea that anybody would think that Caleb wasn't good last year. Most Bears fans believe that he was elite last year and showed all the elite traits, which, of course, if you ask them to tell you what those look like, they have two things that they'll say. One is show you highlights. Number two, very low interceptions. Not sure either of those directly correlate to being elite, but whatever. That's all they got, so that's what they're working with. But they want you to believe so badly that what we saw last year was Caleb playing elite football and being let down by bad play calling, bad receivers, and a bad offensive line. And I can kind of prove it right here.
If you want to say young player flashing hasn't proved it yet, then we agree.
No, that's not what I want to say. I don't want to say young player flashing hasn't proved it yet. What I'd rather say is young player was awful last year and has a long way to go to prove that he isn't a bust. That's what I'd like to say. But they want you to believe so badly. Look, I mean, if you want to say, like, if we're going to be super negative about this, that he's a young guy that obviously was flashing, like, all over the place, like, he's just dominant, but hasn't officially, like, definitely proved it yet. Like, if you have to say that because you're an evil human being, then fine. But, like, this is crazy. No. I don't want to say that at all, actually. I want to say he's a bust until he can prove otherwise. Because he didn't prove that last year at all. He sucked. And I would prefer we say that, actually. That's what I'm going to say. Thanks for playing. Speaking of, let's lean into this. I'm enjoying this way too much to just move on to something else. Check out this idiot.
From time to time about the 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 selections of the 2024 draft and how 5 of them so far are on the right side of the line. It's
What? What? Huh? Which ones? Which ones? What are you talking about?
Pass fail.
Yeah.
Boom bust.
Pass fail.
5 of them so far have shown us enough to make us think they could end up being pretty good. J.J. McCarthy is incomplete, and we'll mention from time to time, statistically, he's most likely to be the bust of the class because
J.J. McCarthy is the most likely to be the bust of the class because somebody has to bust, according to him, and everybody else showed us enough. I mean, I guess if we're setting the bar super low and saying they played, then sure. If it's just, to be somewhat forgiving, everybody, and I mean everybody through all of human history that has ever thrown a football in the National Football League, but all of them have shown something at some point that could possibly lead a person to possibly maybe believe that they could be good at something. But to be very clear, let's see, we've got 7 total quarterbacks that played last year. Joe Milton for New England is an incomplete. Michael Penix is probably an incomplete. He played 5 games. Spencer Rattler potentially could be an incomplete. I mean, they're all incomplete, but let's just say, for the sake of didn't really play enough, that would leave us with 4 quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. If it's pass-fail, you have 2 passes and 2 fails. I guess it depends where you draw that line, but Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels would be pass, and Drake May and Caleb Williams would be fail. Caleb Williams is the lowest graded of that group. If you add Penix to the mix, he is actually the highest graded of the group. So, it would, if we just look at PFF grade, Joe Milton was actually the highest graded, but he only played in 1 game, 29 attempts, whatever. Really played well, though, apparently. Then Jaden Daniels, 91 grade. Then Michael Penix with an 89. Penix has a higher passing grade, is why I had him higher before. But Jaden, then Penix, then Bo Nix with a 78, then Drake May with a 70, then Caleb with a 67, Spencer Rattler with a 52. I mean, if we're saying pass-fail and all J.J. McCarthy has to do is get like a 60, I'm feeling pretty good about him. I got to be honest. I'm feeling great about J.J. McCarthy. I don't know what this doofus is talking about.
They never go 6 for 6. They never go 3 for 3. It's never a clean sweep. And
and it doesn't appear to be, even with the guys we have so far.
Some will misinterpret that as us predicting he's going to be a bust. The point is, if there's any statistical relevance here, he's the cheese that's currently standing alone because the other 5 are all saying, hey, JJ, what's up?
By the way, if we were to do a comparison, let's just use this same standard, by the way. When we look at the Mike Florio pass-fail scale, 2023, I think just about every human being on planet Earth would say that C.J. Stroud is the one guy that really showed that he can be that guy, and everybody else did not do that. According to the Florio scale, though, Aiden O'Connell would be a pass. He had a 66 grade. Will Levis, who everybody unanimously says is dog crap, would be a pass with 64. Tommy DeVito with a 62. Jaron Hall in Minnesota with a 60. Tyson Bagent just fell short a little bit in Chicago. Sean Clifford did fall short with his 1 attempt. However, it's a 76 passing grade. It's actually the second highest. But yeah, so you would have, let's say, Jaron Hall, Tommy DeVito, Will Levis, Aiden O'Connell, and C.J. Stroud all would be pass. And then all the others like Bryce Young, Clayton Tune, those guys failed. Anthony Richardson. Similarly, if we look at 2022, Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, and Bailey Zappi all showed that they can be those kinds of guys. 2021, only 2 quarterbacks, Mac Jones and Justin Fields, but boy, did they pass with flying colors. In 2020, it would be not just Justin Herbert and Tua, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, but Tua and Tyler Huntley also really showed how elite they can be on the Florio scale.
Man, we're over here showing everybody we think we're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. You going to join us or not?
You going to join us? Join us? Join us? You're a goofball, dude.
I don't know. Which one do you think, whether it's May or someone else, which of the 6
or someone
last
else.
year? Let's set McCarthy aside because any jump would be a big jump for him. Of the 5 that played,
it's not a jump. He hasn't done anything yet. What are you talking about a jump? This is why he is. This is a perfect segue because of along with the Bears fans that don't understand this, Florio also is befuddled. He seems to think that a guy that hasn't played yet needs to make a massive leap to get up to these guys' level. First of all, He doesn't need to make a leap because he hasn't done anything yet. We need to find a place for him. It's not a leap. He's not at 0. It's not like a guy that's gone out there and has like thrown 6 passes, all of them were pick sixes. It's not a big leap for J.J. McCarthy. And it's also not a big, even if he was bad, it wouldn't be a big leap to get caught up to some of these guys like, Caleb Williams, who had a 63.5 passing grade. Just at about average. Very well done.
Last year, which one do you think is the most likely to make the biggest jump in 2025?
Well, I will tell you, before I answer that, I'll just say, I'll make you feel better as a Vikings fan, Mike. If 5 of those 6 have already gotten a passing grade, then it's most likely that J.J. McCarthy will also get a passing grade. Because it's not even supposed to be 5. I would have guessed out of 6, I would have guessed 2 or 3 would have been good, not 5.
Yeah,
so
well, it's not. So
it's one of those anomalies where
not an
I
anomaly.
think we're going to be 6 for 6. We look at these quarterbacks and say, wow, all of them are pretty good. But I think the guy who is poised to make the biggest jump in year 2 is Caleb Williams.
That's weird. I wonder why that would be. Because I think that's it's a smart answer, but I wonder why. Is it maybe because there's so much room? Because, he wasn't good last year? Could that be it? Because it's hard to make a big jump when you're already the top quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's saying Jaden Daniels. That would be a weird answer. I wonder if they found the biggest gap between arm talent and production and just use that as the answer.
And it was predicted last year. I think we got ahead of ourselves. We bought into the hype.
Yeah.
We bought into the Caleb Williams hype, and we bought into the Bears hype.
But wait, what do you mean you got ahead of yourself? Because I think you both just said that Caleb was really good. I don't understand. What do you mean you got it? It sounds like you got it exactly. You nailed it. Well done. You nailed it.
Last year. Oh, he's for a number 1 pick, he's going into the best situation. He's got Keenan Allen, he's got DJ Moore, and he's got these backs. And
you did,
they
too.
got Shane Waldron as their offensive coordinator. They're going to be in pretty good shape.
Shane Waldron did a good job, too. We just assume he sucks because Caleb and the Bears were garbage, but no.
Not exactly. And that
Not
thing
exactly
fell
what?
apart, and the line wasn't nearly as good as we thought it would be. And
oh, yes, the line's fault. No, the line was about as good as we all thought it would be. It was as good as it was the year before. It was as good as it's always been. The wide receiver... See, this is what I'm talking about. It's defend the quarterback at all cost. Is it more likely the quarterback wasn't good, or that the head coach, the offensive coordinator, every single one of the wide receivers, including the rookie who everybody said was supremely talented, and 2 veterans that have proven it on the field for years... and the entire offensive line, they're all actually terrible? Or is it possible maybe the quarterback just isn't very good?
And Keenan Allen kind of dropped off.
He fell off.
Drops issues.
Yep.
Eberflus, the head coach.
Yeah, he fell off.
Had some disastrous moments.
Yep.
But I look at it.
And what about DJ Moore, right? Like, he just fell off a cliff. He had his best year ever 2 years ago with Fields, but looks like he just hit a wall, man. And that prediction of the Roma Dunze, thought he was going to be good. He's a bust, right? And that right tackle that took a big jump and got a lot better in year 2, he didn't get better. That's fake. And Shane Waldron, who did some cool stuff over in Seattle, he's not actually. He's terrible. It's just, it turns out everybody else. But how much you want to bet all that's fixed now? Huh?
You've got an offensive mind like Ben Johnson.
Yeah. There it is.
They really spent a lot of time in free agency.
At least we're not getting ahead of ourselves this time, right? Last time we did, when we pointed out people that we knew were good and said, hey, they're on the team, that must be a good thing. Except silly us, it turns out they weren't actually good. That was silly. But now, everything's different, even though almost everything's the exact same. Now everything's different.
On the offensive line.
Still got DJ Moore, still got Roma Dunze, still don't have a run game, still have almost, well... Let's see. The interior, we swapped some people out, but not all the greatest. One of them is the right guard, I think, is just kind of bad. The center is a run blocker only. The left guard is like a 40-year-old guy, but he's pretty good. Exact same tackles as before, but it's all different, and it's all every change everything has changed, and every change is for the better.
And then adding 2 more pieces in the draft, and Loveland and Burden, I think Caleb Williams is going to do well. And Mike, the other thing is, because of the hype, we look at Caleb Williams in his rookie season as if he really kind of fell flat. But if you look at the numbers, he really didn't. He didn't turn the ball over.
See? What did I say? What did they go to? He didn't turn the ball over. We say he didn't have that great of a season, but really, he didn't turn the ball over. Wow, what an accomplishment. Well done. You're almost as good as Drake May. Well done. His rookie season is almost identical to Kyler Murray's. The yards, the touchdowns, the passer rating, the PFF grade, down to a T, it's almost identical to Kyler Murray's. Kyler Murray in his rookie season had 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, 64 PFF grade, 87 passer rating. Almost identical. Let me tell you right now, if Caleb Williams is Kyler Murray, and I know some people disagree, I will take that 1,000 times out of 1,000. Kyler Murray has never had 30 touchdowns in a season. His most is 26. He's never had 4,000 yards in a season. His most was 39.71. I will take that any day of the week. All right, I didn't realize we're getting so late. Why don't we take a quick break? We're going to come back and do more of this type of thing. We'll be right back.
The ball too long. He took a lot of sacks. But his turn, the interception, the lack of interception, that streak he had going was impressive for a rookie. So I think he's going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, no, definitely a low number of interceptions. That's true, and it's to his credit. I'm not going to try to take that from him. That's good. Now, it's also a bit misleading, because he had 19 turnover-worthy plays and only 6 interceptions. We've been over this too. As a percentage, he tied for 15th best in terms of turnover percentage. Jaden Daniels, hilariously, was actually number 1. 1.5% of his passes were turnover-worthy. But, I mean, if that's all you've got, you can just have it. That's fine.
One of the things that I saw in the preseason from him, and once you've shown you can do this, it becomes part of your core narrative. The idea that he can take the play that's called that doesn't work, and he can come up with something on the fly. And there's a Mahomesian quality to some of the things I saw from him in the preseason. And now,
I like how we have to go back to the last year's preseason, the last time anybody had hope for Caleb, to talk about why in the future he's probably going to be really good.
Out working with Ben Johnson, the guy who turned around.
Yeah, now working with Ben Johnson, who's going to need you to rein that crap in real quick. But yeah, no, it's great. The fact that he can play outside of a system. Actually, he couldn't, but in college he could, and that was pretty cool.
Jared Goff. Jared Goff was,
What?
I mean.
Was what?
I don't know if this is a good metaphor, but
Probably not.
When they have that day where you can put out anything that you want to get rid of, not just trash, but like an old refrigerator, a washing machine, whatever. You put out all your stuff, and then the cars will roll by with the people plucking through it to see if they got some stuff there that, you're throwing it out, we're going to take it home. That's what Jared Goff was. And the Rams were throwing him out. And the Lions were like, well, we'll take him home. Now they got a first-round pick, an extra first-round pick in that Matthew Stafford trade to do so. But Ben Johnson turned him into something.
That is so stupid that you're going to pretend that he wasn't good in L.A. under McVay. He is the exact same quarterback. Let's just sort by PFF grade real quick. If you look at Detroit and L.A., here's if we sort by PFF, here is the team. Detroit, LA, Detroit, LA, LA, Detroit, LA, Detroit, LA. What does that mean? It means there's no difference between Detroit and LA. When you rank by his best to worst years, it goes Detroit, LA, Detroit, LA, Detroit, LA, Detroit, LA. It's not Detroit, 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 big gap, and then LA, 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 where he's terrible. He's the same guy. He threw for at least 5,000 yards twice. Both years, it was 5,400 yards. 2023 Detroit, 2018 LA. In fact, if you get rid of his rookie season when he was just god-awful, before McVay, if you look at his passing grades, his 2 worst years, well, it's actually a tie, but whatever, his 2 worst years came from Detroit. This is a completely made-up narrative that he was this bum, washed-up quarterback that LA got rid of and he went to Detroit and just revitalized his career. He looks very much like the same guy.
Johnson took that old busted turntable that the Rams had put out on the curb, and he took it home and he got it working. Whatever parts are in there, I don't know what parts are in there. He got it spinning right. He got it working, and now
there we go.
Now
I was waiting for it.
So he did that. It took me a while. He did that with Jared Goff. What's he going to do with Caleb Williams?
He didn't do that with Jared Goff. In fact, his first year in Detroit was his worst year of his entire career outside of his rookie season. He didn't really take off until year 3, when he exploded and had maybe his best year or second best year, depending on that, in the 2018 season. And then he regressed a little bit in 2024. Wasn't a bad year by any stretch, but it wasn't as good as 2023. This is completely fake.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Zicky. It's good stuff.
The guy that fixed Goff was McVay.
Jared Goff had free on the front, right? Just free. Yeah. Take it. Go ahead and take it. And somebody took it.
By the way, hilariously, LA went to the Super Bowl with Goff. Then they swapped quarterbacks and won a Super Bowl with Stafford. How many Super Bowls does Stafford have in Detroit? How many Super Bowls did Goff go to in Detroit? Yeah, that's what I thought. Trying to pretend that Detroit is fixing McVay's quarterbacks is hilarious.
You know, and that says a lot about Ben Johnson.
No, it doesn't.
Because a lot of coaches come in and say, no, I need my own guys. I need my own guy. And if they have the opportunity to just move on from the player, they'll do it without even trying to figure out what they do well or looking at.
Yeah, I think that says less about him when you factor in that everything Florio said is bullcrap. The fact that you had to go out and get an established quarterback rather than bringing in your own guy and coaching him up. We've never seen him coach up a quarterback before. When Stafford was there, he was the quality control coach and then later the tight ends coach. So we can't even go back and find him as a quarterback's coach to figure out what he did in that regard because he never has been one. He was a tight ends coach, an assistant wide receiver coach, offensive quality control coach, and then tight ends coach again for Detroit, then pass game coordinator, then offensive coordinator, now he's a head coach. Have we ever seen him make a quarterback better? Coach a quarterback, do anything with a quarterback. This is going to be his first time being directly responsible for a young, raw quarterback with an already really tough year under his belt. Not only just because he was bad, but when you look at how bad the situation is, there's now media reports leaking out that he didn't want to go there. He was going to hold out, blah, 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 blah. On top of that, you've got a wide receiver room that doesn't really like him very much. But I'm going to pretend that they went out and paid Goff to come over and continue being Goff, and I'm supposed to tack that on as his credit for why I should believe in him with Caleb Williams.
Player through a fresh lens to see what's salvageable. So Ben Johnson did that with a lot of guys.
Oh,
Ben Johnson, I think he's just
wow.
conceptually,
I didn't know that.
He's got a gift for just seeing what an offense can be or just coming up with maximizing an offense.
Wow.
That's not the question
It's
for
all
me.
news
The question
to me.
is, and this is down the road for Ben Johnson. I know as an offensive mind, he's got it. Will he be able to pair that with head coaching responsibilities and have control of the whole thing? I know he can handle the offense. Will he be able to handle the offense and
I don't know that actually, but okay.
And do everything that a head coach is supposed to do?
Yeah, and you know what? Beyond Caleb Williams, I mean, Michael Penix Jr., we just got a little bit of a taste. We got a little glimpse. So
a very good glimpse, yes.
We can see and we can perceive that there's going to be a jump there with both Jaden Daniels and Bo Nick.
I'm not perceiving a jump. With Penix, we saw an incredible player, and it's a question of, can you maintain that?
It's like they're kind of like, I don't know. There's no jump to be made. They have already jumped. If they make a jump from here, they're Super Bowl participants, if not MVPs, especially Jaden Daniels, but also Knicks. And I think that's what puts even more pressure, Michael, on the Vikings to develop J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, and again, can we revisit Caleb? Because are you saying he didn't have a good year? Because I don't know how we can simultaneously hold that they've already shown it, but also it would be a big jump if he had a good year this year.
At 10, because they could have had Knicks. They could have had Knicks. And, after Sean Payton got Knicks, Sean Payton wasn't bashful about saying, I may have made people think I wanted McCarthy, but I got Knicks, and Knicks is the guy I wanted. And look at what Knicks did. And I just really think it just amps it up in Minnesota. And it also makes, we've gone through this 2-month period where
By the way, I look forward to seeing J.J. McCarthy because I look forward to hopefully doing this whole thing that I've been doing with Justin Fields and Caleb Williams and the Bears with J.J. McCarthy. I hope I get 2 times as many quarterbacks to do this with. I just don't have anything to work with, and I'm not going to jump out there and be like, this guy's going to be trash. I have no idea what he's going to be. If Vikings fans were a little bit more vocal about this guy's going to be the greatest and he's going to win and blah, 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 then yeah, there'd be some point. There's nothing. You got Florio, the Vikings fan, out here going, oh, I don't know, he might be the odd man out. Like, don't make me defend your own guy, okay? Because you sound like an idiot right now.
Vikings have seemed not quite ambivalent about J.J. McCarthy, but just not ready. And toying with the idea of going after an Aaron Rodgers and having McCarthy sit for another year. And they finally come around to the idea that they just need, let's see what he can do. He's here. Let's see what he can do. You traded up from 11.
I hope that is the case, by the way. And honestly, I don't know how else it could be. And what is it that they could know in the offseason as he's been recovering from injury? What is it he's going to do in shorts and a T-shirt that is going to make you know for a fact that you can get behind an NFL offensive line with NFL pass rushers bearing down on you and you can read a full field? Of course they don't know. It doesn't mean he's bad, but obviously I hope he is bad. How about a little bit from my favorite analyst, Acho?
Including a new tight end, first-round pick, Colston Loveland, Michigan. Ooh. A new wide receiver, second-round pick, Luther Burns out of Missouri. New everything everywhere.
New everything everywhere. Apparently, getting a new wide receiver 3 is the same as getting a new everything everywhere. Just a fully revamped wide receiver room. Same wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, left tackle, right tackle, running back. But yeah, new everything everywhere. It's all new now. Like I said, everything has changed and all the changes for the better.
Caleb Williams got a new head coach, for crying out loud.
Wow.
Chase, is it officially playoff?
They had a new head coach last year too, and a new offensive coordinator last year when they fired him and got a new one, and it wasn't for the better. But, new means better always.
Or bust for the college phenom, Caleb Williams?
It is. Excuses are over. No more excuses.
Okay. That might be taking it too far. That's not true. However, the excuses were over last year, and he failed. All the excuses were bull crap. He did not stand up on his own merits. The mistakes he made were his own, and pretending that none of those were his is silly. Now, it is not playoffs or bust or Super Bowl or bust or any. It's not. It is possible that he struggles again this year. Maybe he takes a small step in year 2 and then another one in year 3. It's nonsense to say that he has to be elite this year. But just like there's no excuses last year, there is no excuses this year. And it's not because everything was terrible last year and everything's fixed this year. Everything isn't fixed. The offensive line isn't perfect. The wide receivers are almost identical. There's still no run game. And if the coaching staff makes a couple mistakes, which they're going to, that doesn't mean we get to turn around and say, well, coaching staff failed again. That's the whole thing.
And I've sort of played the middle about, Caleb Williams in terms of, hey, you got to get his growth. Man, if you look at every single move that Ryan Poles, the GM, has made not only this offseason, but the prior offseason.
If you couple both of them together and say, therefore, no excuses, I can get behind that. But we're not going to pretend that last year was some kind of... No, last year you got a massive amount of help and you walked into an incredibly good situation and you failed. This year, they maybe added a couple additional things to help you along in addition to everything from last year. It's also year 2. So, yeah.
Been for Caleb Williams. If you look at the roster, forget about the schedule, you just look at the roster, they're one of the more talented rosters in all the NFL. Now it's your turn to shine.
That's a stretch. One of the more talented rosters in the NFL. It's a stretch. For a team that has kind of a third down back as their starting running back, a very, very old, at least interior offensive line that's still going to have some problems, but sure. I have a hard time bragging up a wide receiver room that is now down to one guy that couldn't do anything last year, a second-year guy who wasn't very good as a rookie, and a rookie, right? But, okay, sure, yeah, we'll run with that.
And your turn to take this team over Caleb Williams. I think the moves obviously have been made, but I think where Caleb can make the biggest jump, in my opinion, is mentally. Hey, mentally, we talked about...
I like it because it's all-encompassing. I mean, it's his brain that controls pretty much everything that is involved in being a quarterback. So, yeah, I would agree.
A film issue, not watching film. You got to get in the film room. You got to understand what to do, when to do it, and you got to be the leader on and off the field that the Bears need. It's not just...
Wait, does that mean when you get sacked, you can't just lay there and burn up like 15 seconds pouting on the field? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
About your play on the field, it's about everything.
Oh, okay.
Handling all the pressures that have come with a starting quarterback job, in where your dad said quarterbacks go to die. You can be the one to change that. I mean,
I don't know
the
if
biggest
he can.
thing that Ben Johnson's done, he revamped that offensive line. Just like Acho said, they'd signed Drew Dahlman to the second highest, richest center in NFL history. They go out, they just re-signed Joe Thuney. They get Jonah Jackson. They draft Colson Loveland to pair.
Again, everything has changed, and all changes are for the better. This is what you have to believe in order to just not push back on anything these guys are saying. Drew Dahlman ranked 22nd in pass blocking last year. Actually, let me get rid of some of these people. 13th, based on his PFF grade. If you look at his pass blocking efficiency grade, he ranked 27th, giving up 2 sacks, 1 hit, and 7 hurries. He was also injured last year, so we could say, well, that's obviously not to his credit. Being injured is not a good thing, but maybe it's just because he had a smaller sample size. No. 2024 was by far his best year as a pass blocker, with his 66.6 grade. His pass blocking grades prior to that were 53, 55, and 40.9. 2024, when he played his first, he's the guy that's actually not very old. He's only 26 going on 27. But it was by far his best year, was the one year where he played about a half a season. His last full season in 2023, he ranked 25th for his PFF pass blocking grade at a 53 PFF grade. His pass blocking efficiency grade was 32nd out of 37, 96.8, giving up 2 sacks, 6 hits, and 21 hurries. Again, if you want to say he's an elite pass block or run blocker, he is. He absolutely is. He's a very good run blocker. I don't know how in the world that's supposed to help with this whole sack issue. By the way, Coleman Shelton ranked 11th last year in pass blocking for the Chicago Bears. 11th. His pass blocking efficiency grade, 24th. So in both cases, better than Dahlman. Now, you could argue that was their best signing as far as the offensive line. Joe Thuney is probably a better argument, although he's 32 going on 33. But for this year alone, fine, yeah. He had an 80 pass blocking grade last year, 74 run blocking, although that was kind of a anomaly. He's never graded out that highly before in run blocking. But he was the 7th highest graded overall and the 3rd highest graded pass blocking guard, although unfortunately in pass blocking efficiency, he graded 24th. 2 sacks, 8 hits, 25 hurries. But clearly that would be, presumably anyways, an upgrade over what they had last year. Although it's not really actually much of one because Tevin Jenkins had a 76 pass blocking grade and Matt Pryor had a 78 pass blocking grade. They were both basically top 10 guards last year. In fact, not basically, literally, they were both top 10 guards. But we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about that. That's not important. It doesn't matter that they were both top 10 guards and now they're both gone and they replace it with one top 10 guard and one definitely not top 10 guard. And the top 10 guard is 33 years old. That's not what we need to worry about. We don't need to worry about the other guard being Jonah Jackson, who had a 59.5 PFF grade this past year. That's not important. That's not what matters. The fact that he's a 28-year-old guy that played 5 games last year due to injury and has never had higher than a 60.7 pass blocking grade, was in Detroit for years and nobody gave a crap. We don't need to worry about that. That's not what's important. Trading out 2 top 10 guys for 1 top 10 guy and like a bottom 10 guy and a center that can't pass block. Listen, I don't know how many different ways I can say it. Everything changed and every change is for the better. I feel like I keep saying the same thing and you just don't frickin' listen. Everything changes for the better. Open your frickin' ears, will ya? Take a break. We'll be right back.
With Cole Kmet, I mean, they got a 3-headed monster at receiver with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and then my guy at
yeah, that's 2 of those were there last year too. But yeah, for sure.
Missouri, they're going to have...
Don't even know his name.
Their hands full in terms of talent. Can he be a point guard of the football? How do him and Ben Johnson mesh? The pressure's on him. If he goes in there this season and doesn't live up to expectations,
like last year,
we're going to start pointing the finger back at him.
Yeah, I already started that process, but I look forward to you guys jumping on that train with me.
Not at the coach or not at the franchise or not at this. They've given you every single thing to succeed. Pressure's on you, man.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Shady always says don't judge rookies, which is hard for me. I got to do a daily television show. I would love to judge rookies for y'all's sake, to give y'all some insight, and for my sake. I'm an impatient person.
You can't definitively judge rookies, but to pretend that you can't judge them at all is silly. Am I allowed to judge Edgerrin Cooper? I know that may change, but if I have more confidence that Edgerrin Cooper will be a great player than Jordan Morgan, who I haven't really seen very much of yet, am I being foolish? I don't think that's foolish. Is it okay to judge Jaden Daniels? Or are we only not allowed to judge bad players? Just asking.
I judge sophomores, though. Sophomores don't get judged. Caleb Williams, I believe, was one of, if not the sophomores. I judge the sophomores. Caleb was one of the best quarterbacks in college I had ever seen in my life. I remember when he stepped onto the scene against my alma mater, Texas, as a backup to Spencer Rattler and led Oklahoma from down 14 to a thrilling victory at a neutral site in one of the most competitive atmospheres in football in Dallas, Texas, Red River rivalry. I remember going to Colorado, watching Caleb duel versus Shador Sanders, backpedaling away from defenders and throwing strikes. Then you get to the league.
By the way, 100% agree. I remember watching very little bits of Caleb Williams long before he was a Chicago Bear, and just going, what the heck did I just watch? That was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
See none of that. If Caleb struggles this year, we're going to have to start having the Trevor Lawrence conversation.
And by the way, that's not true that we didn't see that. We did see that. Bears fans will happily go dig up those instances. But this is right back to the Justin Fields and every other conversation. It's not enough to be able to do a cool parlor trick once a game. That's not how you win football games.
Conversations that Shady likes to have. We're going to have to start having them. Where after 2 years, we haven't seen enough. At least Trevor Lawrence, after his sophomore year, he went to the playoffs. I think he won a playoff game against Chase's Los Angeles Chargers. He went to the playoffs. He did some things. Caleb, do something. Do something.
Anything.
You can't live in a world where Jaden Daniels, as a rookie, went to the playoffs.
Yep.
Where C.J. Stroud...
And again, Jaden Daniels went to the playoffs in year 1. Was everything perfect for him? Again, this is the whole Bears fan thing where it's like, well... the offensive line could have been better, and yeah, I mean, it's one of the most dominant wide receiver groups we've seen in forever, but, one of the guys was getting kind of old, and the other one was a rookie, and, Could you even imagine the excuses if Caleb Williams had Terry McLaurin, who's quite good, but then it's Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus. Like, that's your whole group, and then 500-year-old Zach Ertz. Give me a break. By the way, he didn't have 2 top 10 guards and a breakout right tackle like Caleb Williams had. His right tackle is John Bates. What can you tell me, Andrew Wiley. 53 run blocking, 65 pass blocking. Sam Cosme, the right guard, 74-64. Center, 62-62. Guard, 53-62. Tackle, 56-62. He didn't have a single, just good across the board play. He's the only guy that didn't suck was Sam Cosme, who had a 74 pass blocking grade and a 64 run blocking. Those are the guys that we as Packer fans look at and go, it's just not good enough for me. That was his best offensive lineman. His entire offensive line, with the exception of maybe one guy, is terrible. He had one good, not great, not elite, one good receiver next to a bunch of no-names that nobody's ever heard of before. He had a mid running back, a bad receiver group, and a terrible offensive line, and he took the organization to the playoffs because that's what great quarterbacks do. So I don't want to hear any bullcrap excuses about, well, Caleb didn't have a good enough situation with this elite wide receiver trio, not to mention Cole Kmet, who's a good enough tight end, a quite good offensive line. I just don't want to frickin' hear it. And look at Michael Penix. Atlanta, terrible, terrible football team. Dysfunctional, disgusting, just terrible. He doesn't even get an opportunity until week 7. He comes out and throws one 14-yard pass. He doesn't get to see the football field again until week 11. Comes out and is 2 for 4 for 24 yards. Doesn't see a football field again until week 16. Is 18 of 27 for 202 yards. Does throw a pick, but still has a 77 grade. That's where he has his 3-game stretch there, 16-7. So he's out week 7, 11, 16, 17, 18. He ends the season, despite this dysfunctional situation where he doesn't really even get to play football and occasionally is just randomly thrown into a game. He ends with 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 90 PFF grade, basically. 9% big-time throw rate, which is insane, and his turnover-worthy play rate is 1.7%. He had 3 picks and only 2 turnover-worthy plays. His NFL passer rating wasn't great because, again, he got screwed on a lot of things like his turnover-worthy play rate. Some people like Caleb will throw, 19 turnover-worthy plays and 6 of them get picked? Penix throws 2 and 3 get picked? How about Bo Nix? Denver isn't exactly lighting it up with elite talent everywhere, and he got off to a really rocky start. He had about 2 games in his first half of the season through 9 weeks. After that, it was 70, 80, 70, 70, 50, 60, 70, 90, 80. He grew. He got better. They didn't go out and draft. They didn't have a mid-NFL draft mid-season and get 4 first-round talent prospects. They didn't go out and trade for a bunch of new people, get a bunch of new coaches, get a whole new offensive line. He just got better. And it wasn't just excuses after excuses after excuses of frickin' whining and crying bullcrap. The idea that you can't overcome it. It's impossible to just be a good quarterback and to elevate a football team around you unless everything's perfect. And even if things are perfect, if it's not super perfect, the wide receivers are basically perfect. And the offensive line is, not only is it not terrible, it's actually quite good. But offensive coordinator's not very good, and so what can you expect? Oh, shut up.
The year before as a rookie went to the playoffs, where Bo Nix as a rookie went to the playoffs. Then you as a sophomore don't go to the playoffs. Shady, it's time.
And it's not even the playoffs. I don't care about the playoffs. The playoffs are irrelevant, Acho. It's not about the playoffs. Granted, if he's elite, the team will go to the playoffs. But it's not impossible that he takes a step and he gets significantly better and they still miss the playoffs. If everything else falls apart around them, which I doubt because, again, he's in a pretty good situation. But that's not the metric, especially in the NFC North. It's a little tough in that division. It's also possible that he plays poorly and they go to the playoffs. He needs to play football at a high level, period.
From the put up or shut up?
Yeah,
Because I don't judge rookies. Huh?
Don't judge rookies.
You judge sophomores.
Judge sophomores.
That was a nice little line. No, but I'm it's only year 2 for him, right? And some players takes a little longer, right? We look at guys like Baker Mayfield. I didn't think much of him his first 2-3 years. I didn't, not at all. But look where they are now. I look at guys like Sam Darnold. Chase loves Sam Darnold. It took me a long.
All right. So, first of all, again, this whole Baker Mayfield thing blows my mind that we're going to pretend that he didn't do anything good in Cleveland. As a rookie, he had an 83 PFF grade. I don't know where this whole thing comes from that he was just terrible and then suddenly he goes to Tampa and is great. 80, 70, 80. His final year in Cleveland was bad. Then in 2022, he was god-awful. And then Tampa Bay, he's back to being the guy he was when he was in Cleveland. I don't understand that. The Sam Darnold thing, I don't think Sam Darnold's good. I don't know what happened in Minnesota. I have no idea what the heck happened there. But I'm not going to just pretend that the guy's an elite football player now, or even good for that matter. I don't know. Maybe he'll become good. And it's true that some guys, it takes a couple years. Absolutely true. You could argue that Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre are all in that category. I don't know that, but Brett was being laughed at in Atlanta in his first year, and Rodgers was looking a little shaky as he sat on the bench behind Brett, and Jordan, I mean, there's no question, he was looking pretty rough. Still not even 100% sure if he's, or at least how good he is. So, yeah, I'm mostly with Shady here, where it's like, you know, not all the way out if he doesn't have a great year, but I'm not going to pretend like this is a normal thing where, you know, guys struggle for 2 years and then pop off, especially when you can't even come up with examples that don't suck.
Long time to even say good words about him because he played so bad. But eventually, he came around. I think he has a lot of talent, and he got a lot of new pieces, which will help him out. I think his new coach, I think with the new head coach, that's going to help him out a lot. You see what he did for Detroit Lions. But I got to be honest also, too, man. I mean, he got a hard schedule. First of all, and your division is real tough, right? So before you can get to the NFC, other teams, you got a hard – look at the schedule real quick. Y'all messing around, playing around. Okay, like the Vikings, we hope they win that game, but that's going to be tough. The Lions, you know what's up with that. Dallas Cowboys, George Pickens over there might help Dak Prescott. Dak, it ain't the playoffs, it's regular season, and you know how good he plays in the regular season. Raiders, they should probably win that game, get the bye, get things together. Then Washington, Jaden Daniels, he's an elite quarterback. Saints should win that. Ravens, you know what's going on. Joe Burrow, hopefully. So as much as we want to act like he should just go out there and just kill everybody, like this is a hard schedule. So
well, yeah, that's true. But one of the hard games that you mentioned is Jaden Daniels, right? So why doesn't he get the same excuse? Also, one of the other guys is J.J. McCarthy. So in that list was J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, the Lions, Dallas, who didn't even make the playoffs last year, the Raiders, who are terrible, and then the guy who got drafted after him in Washington. And then it's the Saints. I don't see a ton of great excuses in that stretch.
I can't say it's a bust because I look at the duration of his career and his contract as the number one pick overall. It's okay.
No, I'll call him a bust because it's funny. But I've been on record saying Trubisky scared me until he was gone. Fields scared me till he's gone. This guy's going to scare me until he's not a Bear anymore. That's just the way it goes. I'm never going to 100% count somebody out, but I'm going to feel real good if he starts looking bad.
Contract's guaranteed, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to pay him. You got to pay him some bread. Yeah. I can't just say a bust if he don't go to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, no, I agree with Shady. I'm not ready to say playoffs are bust, but he does got to clear all that up.
What's all that up?
Sophomore slump. Is he gonna be a Trevor Lawrence? After this year, we got to say this your dude. We got our franchise quarterback.
That's it. It's not the playoffs. It's at the end of the year. Do Bears fans? Who cares about the Bears? Bears fans are always going to feel good about the guy. Do we as Packer fans look at it and go, "Dang it"? He really started, and it might not even be the whole year. Maybe that's why they missed the playoffs because it's the second half of the year. It just clicks, and he starts looking like one of the top quarterbacks, and it's consistent. It's not like he had a couple good games. It's weeks 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18 or something. By the end of year 2, James Jones is correct. People that know how to think I put that caveat in there because a lot of people in the media, as well as Chicago Bears fans, are going to like him no matter what. People that know how to think need to look at Chicago and say, that's the guy. But I'll say that, not that it matters, because it's the same thing every year. But I just want you to try as best as you can to stick this in the back of your head. You all heard everybody say no more excuses, right? You heard them brag about how great the offensive line is, the wide receivers, the tight end, the coach, all that, and that there are no excuses. You heard it, right? Again, we've heard this 1,000 times, and then they change their mind and gaslight you and say, no, I never said that. But I want it on the record, for the billionth time, they said there will be no excuses next year. So next offseason, when they start talking about, yeah, well, Ben Johnson was a fraud, and I knew it all along. I never bought into the Ben Johnson hype, and DJ Moore's a bum, but, Dunze's starting to turn it around, and we got year 2 with Luther Burden and Colson Loveland, and we got a bunch of new offensive linemen because that old Joe Thuney's gone, and that old Jonah Jackson's gone. And we got a new left tackle now in Ozzie Trapillo. He's going to take over at tackle. And we got a new running back now. And we got a better offensive coordinator now with a veteran coach that actually knows how to coach a football team, not that bum Ben Johnson. And we got a new GM now. When you frickin' people start saying that, I'm going to call you on your bull crap. All right, well, that was not supposed to be anything more than just that one clip, but I was just enjoying that a little bit too much. All right. As I said, this is OTA week. I think the first media availability is Wednesday, so Thursday might be the first time we have any kind of insights, but we'll see. Hoping we get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I do have some NFL draft stuff that I went through that I want to go over. We got some potential changes coming to the salary cap, things of that nature. But I'm going to leave it at that for today. I will talk to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Goodbye.